part of the Awesome Health Experience, one of the most in-depth online health programs available today. Please join me in welcoming Wade. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. All right, we got a few people having their seats. How's everybody doing? Okay, we got to do better than that. This is the Canfitpro. How's everybody doing? Okay, we're still at a level 2. How is everybody doing? Right on. Thank you very much. I'm going to try and get this thing rocking and rolling. We good? First, I want to take a little moment and thank everybody for taking the time to come out here on a nice rainy Saturday afternoon. I hope today that we're able to dive into a few things that I think a lot of people are struggling with. We have a massive crisis going on inside of our country, inside the human population, related to metabolism and its relation to digestion. If you look back to the father of modern medicine, Hippocrates, he said all disease starts in the gut 2,500 years ago. And that was the founder of what we know as the Hippocratic Oath, medical science. And today I'm going to touch on a bunch of things. We won't be able to cover everything. However, I do have an in-depth course that I will be giving away to everybody here for free, the Awesome Health System, which is a 12-week course. It has 84 individual 5 to 15-minute videos with all the research and all the people I've gathered. It's all done in a systematic way. So all you need to do is stop by the booth, grab that little thing that you have with you, and then you can get access to that at no charge, because we won't be able to cover everything today. Sound fair? You guys excited about that? And then if we have any questions, just come down and see us, because we can get into specifics or individuals. All right, let's get started. The 3 biggest secrets for fixing broken digestion, metabolism, and health. I have a story. How many people have struggled or know someone that struggled with weight gain or metabolism or digestive issues? Yeah, look at that, almost everybody in the crowd. What a lot of people don't know is in 2003, I got to represent our country at the Mr. Universe contest. And the funny part about it is the pictures all look great, but after that contest, I gained 42 pounds of fat and water in just 11 weeks. I literally, it was devastating. Keep in mind, I had been preparing for that contest for 16 years. I had the best coach you could possibly have. I was following a high-performance dietary and training program with absolute perfection. And here I ran into this problem. How did that happen? How could you be doing everything right and still end up in the wrong place? Anybody can relate to that? Yeah. And it's not what you know that affects you, it's what you don't know. And I had the good fortune of meeting a fellow, Dr. Michael O'Brien. He was in his 70s. I got a picture of him a little bit later. He had perfect skin. He was super vibrant. He looked like he could look right through. He was just super strong. And I said to Michael, I said, what did I do wrong? And he said, Wade, you've learned to build the body from the outside in. You haven't learned to build the body from the inside out. And that hit me like a ton of bricks. That impacted me because even though I had a background in exercise physiology, even though I had a background in nutrition, even though I had the best coaching and some of the best mentors in the world, I didn't know this. And so I decided to learn about it, and then literally using some of the principles I'm going to share with you today, I was able to recover my health, fix my digestion within 6 months, and went on to advocate this mission literally for the rest of my life. Because if it affected me that was trying to do everything right, who was in the industry, how is it affecting the regular population that's doing other things? I mean, it's serious. So let's get into it. If I can get this thing moving. There we go. That's a little bit about my background. We have a company called Bioptimizers. Our mission is to alleviate human suffering. I believe there's a lot of people suffering needlessly, and there is principles, so we're a very education-focused company. So that's why we give away free education and let people, because I think education is the only way out. My sister, as I said, she died of cancer at an early age, and I've been very proud to be an advisor to the American Anti-Cancer Institute for people who are in cancer treatment or recovering from cancer treatment. And then all the other stuff you can read, the books and the bodybuilding stuff, that's not really that important. When I refer this, I do a lot of speaking in the States. What you can do is all of these statistics that you see, divide it by 10. So in Canada, it's about 6 million, not quite at 60, it's not quite 6, but it's about 5.5 million people are experiencing heartburn at least once a month. Significant part of the population. 15 million in the States as much as daily. 74% of the population is living with GI discomfort. Okay? That's diarrhea, gas, bloating, things like. Anybody here have gas, bloating, diarrhea, or not feel something when you ate something wrong? 3 people? Come on! You probably ate something this weekend that didn't make you feel good, am I right? Yeah, of course. All right, here's something that's shocking. 12% of the emergency hospital visits today, that is going into the emergency ward, are related to gastrointestinal issues. And it's growing. It's getting more each and every year. My question to you is why? Why do you think that is? Anybody? Yes?
Processed foods and stuff.
Processed foods. Anyone else? Stress. Sugar. What else? Salt. What else? Can't hear you. Lack of sleep.
Lack of physical activity.
Yeah, I would say it's modern living. Yeah. You know, we've solved a lot of the problems that we've suffered with as humans. You have to realize is that up until this point, humanity, the number one killer of humanity is 2 things. Lack of food and waterborne disease. Waterborne disease is still the number one killer. What's ironic is over the last 100 years, thanks to modern food production and modern food distribution, we've solved in, industrialized countries, we've solved not enough food. The problem is we've created a whole host of other illnesses from the food that we've solved starvation with. Okay, the other thing is we've done a great job of managing infections using antibiotics, but the overprescription of them has now created another problem. So we've solved big problems, so I'm not here to throw the medical industry under the bus. What I'm saying is when we solve these problems, there were unexpected consequences to the solutions of something that we've suffered from as a species for thousands of years. And so now we're trying to correct that, and you guys are on the front line of that program. For those who want show notes from this, you can come by the booth. We'll just send these out to you. So if you want to snap a picture, go ahead. But if you want all the specifics, we'll just give them to you and get all the research and save it. These are some of the journals that we've got all this information from. And I'm going to give you a quick overview of things easy to remember. I call it the ABCs of digestive dysfunction. Acid, reflux, and GERD. That's the A. GERD affects up to 20% of the population. Chronic reflux of stomach acid into the esophagus. GERD symptoms are heartburn, regurgitation, and difficulty swallowing. If you or someone you know has this condition, you need to address it. And providing proton pumps is not a solution. Okay, that just blocks acid. We'll talk about that. But the bottom line is, this is what is leading to the rise of esophagus cancer. Okay, this is left unchecked. So that's a big issue that's happening for people. That's what I would recommend. Bloating and gas. Between 10 to 30% of the population struggle with bloating and gas. That's almost 100 million people between Canada and the United States on any given day. When you have bloating and gas, you have to realize there is an interaction going on in some 3 key points of your digestion. Okay? And I'm going to get into those 3 key points in a second, but that's the B of these symptoms. And so these early symptoms, although discomfort, don't lead you to a hospital condition. But what I'm saying, if you're experiencing these, you have to understand that there's something not working correctly in the mechanics of your digestive system. And keep in mind this, it is a single canal from your mouth to your anus. So when you eat something, it doesn't mean it's inside your body. It's not inside your cells. It's not inside your organs. It is in that tube. And this process is essential in order for you to function properly. And for those of you who were at my lecture yesterday, anybody here at my lecture yesterday? Yeah, we talked about this. I believe that obesity is not a disease of excess. I believe that obesity is a disease of starvation. People are actually starving from key elements in their dietary process, and that's leading them to a variety of hormonal dysfunctions, eating the wrong foods, or the inability to process and metabolize their foods. And today I'm going to show you the quick solutions to that. And then the final piece, constipation and diarrhea, that's the C. 16% of the population has chronic constipation. 33% of people 60 and over are constipated, causes millions of clinic visits, 700,000 emergency visits a year. Constipation is a serious issue, and there's a variety of reasons why that is. So, despite the prevalence of digestive problems, they can largely be solved by 3 lifestyle changes. How many lifestyle changes?
3.
Okay, that's 4 people. How many lifestyle changes?
3.
All right, great. Can you turn that up a little bit? Can you turn that volume up a little bit? So. All right. One of the most important things that people can do. I ran a holistic health clinic in Vancouver for many years. And we had what was called an electronic interstitial water scan. And that scan would actually look at all the organs of the body, all the tissues of the body, and could tell what was dehydrated. You are, and I am, we all are mostly bags of water. What I found with thousands and thousands of clients is virtually everyone was in a state of chronic dehydration. And what I meant by chronic is it would take approximately 3 weeks of consuming 4 to 6 liters every single day of water in order to correct the dehydration that people were experiencing. So water that we're drinking out of bottled waters actually compromises our digestive system or has difficulty being absorbed. And so I think that every person in this audience should take a chunk of their money and buy the best water system they possibly can for their house. I think it is one of the most important solutions for long-term health, and consistently make a habit of consuming anywhere between 3 to 6 liters of water per day. Okay? The other thing is raw and cooked food. So plant foods have been shown by increasing your plant foods inside your diet, it assists in longevity, and particularly it draws a lot more water into your intestinal tract. And water into your intestinal tract is essential in order for you to get the foods to actually cross properly. It also keeps things moving. Fiberless foods like meat, dairy, and white flour. The last 2 are probably the most inflammatory for people, flour and dairy. If you're eating meat, try and get the premium stuff without antibiotics, without the hormones and all that stuff, because those interrupt our hormonal cycles, they interrupt the way that we metabolize it. And what's interesting is when you do a biopsy of fat tissue in people, what do we find inside that fat tissue? Anybody want to take a guess? Toxins, yes. Particularly, we find food dyes, which are very prevalent in meat. We find preservatives. We find herbicides, pesticides, fungicides. Right? These things end up in our fat cells. So a lot of people who are struggling with weight gain, they don't realize that their body is actually, they really can't metabolize all the toxins that they're consuming from their diet. So their body is storing them in a convenient, metabolically inactive place called a fat cell. And so you have to realize that fat gain inside the body and relative to metabolism is directly correlated with toxicity. And over the research that I've worked with over 15,000 clients, I've found that a lot of people who are overweight are actually eating the same amount of calories as people that are underweight. But when we start looking at toxic panels, checking mercury levels, checking heavy metals, looking what's going on in the body, they have a more challenging time processing the toxins in their body, so their liver can't metabolize it, and guess what? They're storing it in a fat cell so that they can sometimes, and really what's happening is there is a chemical and emotional release of the fat cells and how it was stored. So there is a relation between our psychological self or our emotional bodies and the way that we store food or store fat or store chemicals in their body. They're all associative. So you have to realize that whatever's going in your body, that your body is doing its best to adapt to the current environment that you have. That's really what's going on. And so one of the mentalities I think that is really important for success in any kind of health regimen is to understand that your body is working for you, not against you. And the key is, if you're struggling with weight gain or you're struggling with toxicity, is to say, hey, you know what? Hey, my body is actually responding perfectly in this moment gain to the conditions, and all I need to do is tweak a few things and it's going to come back the other way, because a lot of people tend to identify with being a victim. They feel like they're a victim because they don't fit a physical ideal or a projected ideal out in social media or on magazines and stuff. And the reality is that is an artificially generated thing to sell products. Your body is far more sophisticated than any marketing campaign generated by somebody on Madison Avenue. And it's important to honor that and respect that and realize that all of you have the most amazing physiology that is on the planet. You are the pinnacle of millions of years, billions of years of evolution. So I think we should all celebrate that and give ourselves a hand for a second, all right? Thank you. Now, the other thing is, how many people here take probiotics? Yeah, almost all the crowd. How many people have thought about probiotics but are confused? Yeah, almost half the crowd, the other half of the crowd. Well, I'm going to dive into this, but one of the things that's really important, whatever probiotic strain that you're taking, be sure to find out what type of food it eats, because probiotics will not catch hold inside your body unless you're feeding them the food that they eat. They will die within 24 hours. One of the easiest ways is artichokes. Artichokes will feed almost any bacteria, but do some research. You can go online. What kind of food does my bacteria that have, if it's a lactobacillus or it's another type of strain, then you can find out what that is, because that's going to make a big difference. And that's one of the reasons why I believe people who have more plants inside their diet will generally have better digestive health than people who don't. Exercise. I always say this, deep breathing, water, and exercise. These are the non-negotiables if you have health. They're not that expensive, and they're something that should be the foundation of anything that you do before you go into a bottle, before you buy a supplement, is make sure that you're practicing deep breathing every day, make sure that you're hydrating yourself properly, and then make sure that you're doing daily exercise. Daily exercise is not walking. The World Health Organization 75 years ago suggested that the average person should walk 20 miles a day as a minimum amount of exercise. That's because people walked 20 miles a day back then. Today, most people are lucky if they walk a mile. And so we have to be able to do something that gets our heart rate up and that is strenuous, because we're suffering from the conditions of the modern world. I talked about that yesterday. We're spending so much time in front of TVs, in front of screens, and that is interrupting our health and vitality. Fasting. How many people here do fasting? How many people here are scared of fasting? How many people won't raise their hand no matter what I ask? There we go. All right. What's interesting is fasting, I've been doing that for 20 years. It is also pervasive in virtually every single health culture in the world. All animals, when they are sick, will stop eating. And the reason that they stop eating, or the reason why fasting has had such great benefits, is it frees up your own enzymatic production. We produce these things called enzymes. There are two things in our body that do work. How many things? Two. Probiotics and enzymes. Those are the workers of the body. Everything else is energy units or building blocks. Okay, so I'm a trained nutrition, and they'll give you like journals and big books of nutrition and all the different things that it does, and they'll all put maybe a paragraph or a couple pages on enzymes and probiotics. But it's like taking all the food that you, like, it's like if you were building a house, dropping all the materials at the site and coming back 2 weeks later and saying, where's my house? Nothing's happened. Well, that's because there's no workers. Workers are essential to building our blocks, and of course, in our modern world, we've taken out the workers because we cook our food, we irradiate our food, we process our food, we take out all the enzymes, we sterilize everything so we don't get the natural bacteria, the natural probiotics that we're used to. So the problem is you can have the best diet possible, you can have Spartan-like discipline, you can be doing all the exercise you want, but if you don't have workers to convert your food into energy units or building blocks, guess what? You will not build the house of your dreams. It's really that simple. And I believe that if you want more things done inside your body metabolically, put more workers in the body. So, fasting gives your body a break. It's the bottom line is your digestive system is working all the time. It's about 70% of your metabolism. The other part is your brain. And the thing is when you do fasting, and you can start with small fasts of 12 hours, and you can build yourself up to 1-day fasts, 3-day fasts, and even going as far as 10-day fasts. Yeah. And I routinely do 10-day fasts on water. It's a great way to reset the system. The first 3 days you feel a little wonky, and then by the day 4, there's this release of energy, but you build yourself up to it, okay? And people go, wow, that's shocking, I'm terrified of doing that. But you know what? It's amazing that once you've done that once or 2 times, even if you do a 3-day fast, you'll start to discover that your physical power, your physical potential, far exceeds getting energy from food. You get energy through a process called electron covalent transfer. Your food is not about the chemistry. It's about converting the chemical agents into an electrical charge at the mitochondrial level. That's the little energy system inside your body, and that is what gives you energy. Okay? Yes? Yes. Yeah, so usually it's slow endurance kind of things. I like to use a mini trampoline. If you come by my booth, mini trampolining while you're fast pumps the lymphatic system, which is 3.5 times the blood system. And the blood system, and that's like the exhaust system for the body. And one of the reasons people get stagnant is they get stagnant lymphatic. That's another thing in the medical journals. Your lymphatic system is 3.5 times the volume of your blood system, and nobody hears about it. How many people here have taken a lymphatic test? Yeah, a couple people. How many people have taken a blood test? That's called a clue. So start studying your lymphatic system, because that's what's going to get the chemicals, the toxicity, and rebounding is probably the best thing for that. All right, so ABCD, acid, bloating, gas. It's solved by diet, exercise, and fasting. Those are the 3 easiest things that don't require supplements, don't require any special nutrition. Everybody can do this, and you build yourself up slowly over time, okay? Next, there are 3 specific lifestyle changes that can accelerate your results, and for some people they are absolutely essential if you want to overcome a broken metabolism. This was the way that when I gained 42 pounds of fat and water, I followed Dr. Michael O'Brien, who became my mentor, and I took what I would call massive dosages of these 3 compounds. These 3 compounds got me back in shape in 6 months. Not only was I back in shape, but I felt better. I didn't have the tired, I didn't have the inflamed joints, I didn't have the brain fog. I had incredible amounts of energy. And for those who want to check that out, you probably would have saw myself and my business partner Lamont on the dance floor last night. We have lots of energy. And all we were drinking was water. So, the probiotic secret. Here, this is, I got into probiotics really deeply 15 years ago, and right now we are on what I call the beginning of the golden age of probiotic research. Again, let's just show a show of hands. How many people here have heard about probiotics or use probiotics? Yeah, almost everybody in the room. And how many people are still confused about which one to take or why? Exactly. And that's part of the issue. There's a lot of hype and there's a lot of contradiction. And the thing is how do you know what to believe in probiotics? One thing I can say is there's a couple of myths. How many people take a multi-strain probiotic? How many feel that if you could take more probiotics or more strains, that would be better than less? How many people don't know? Okay, great. If you look at the scientific literature, most of the literature is actually referring to single strains when they test them, because then you can manage the parameters. And the thing with single strains, and I think it's one of the best ways to do research, it's also the best way to select which probiotic is best for you. So it's a slower process for some people because not everybody's going to respond to the same probiotic. And the reason why that is your probiotics are relative to the diet that you have. So one of my business partners, Matt, is a ketogenic guy. I'm on a plant-based diet. I'm a vegetarian. And so if you look at the two different types of dietary, we're at the polar opposites of that. But we found a strain that works for both of us. But we have other strains that are key for him and other strains that are key for me based on our dietary stuff. So you need to get a strain that is relative to your diet. We'll get to the questions at the end. The next thing that I would like to make a point of is oftentimes strains will compete with each other. So if you're taking like 8 strains or 32 strains or 24 strains or whatever, often what happens is people are just throwing a mishmash of maybes in a bottle. Maybe it works, maybe it doesn't. We heard this is good, we heard that's good, we heard that's good. We put them in a room, we're just going to throw all those in the bottle and sell it to people with no scientific backing behind that. And unfortunately, that does you, the customer, a very big disservice. You try the product, it doesn't work for you, and you say, I don't know about that probiotic, it doesn't work. How many people have heard that story? How many people have taken a probiotic, you're like, I don't know if it worked. If you don't know it works, it didn't work. It's really that simple. If you didn't notice an improvement in whatever reasons you were taking that for, better immune system, better digestion, whatever it happens to be, it didn't work, and that's largely the reason why it didn't. There's another myth. There's a thing on the back of every bottle that's called the CFU, or total bacteria count, colonizing forming units. The bottom line is, it's not how many units that are in, quote unquote, on the label, it's how many that actually survive. They don't do any good for you inside the bottle or inside the testing. It's how much actually go inside your system. Now, Canada has some very interesting laws, so we're in a better state relative to the American market, because the testing here in Canada, the NPN testing, requires you to label on the bottle how many units are alive 1 year after production date. So that's one of the advantages to Canadian. So Health Canada is doing something correct by actually demonstrating how many units are actually in getting. Make sense? Yeah. The other thing is you want to know what the doubling rate. So most of the probiotics out there are going to double. And probiotics are the key aspect. I'm going to just do a quick rundown of how digestion works. Would anybody like to know how that works? Woo! Okay, so digestion starts first with tasting, touching, smelling, feeling the food. There's a sensory response to the body. As soon as it goes into your mouth, your body will now recognize what type of food it is and what type of enzymes that it's supposed to produce. Now, humans are unlike any other species on the planet. We do something that's really odd. We cook our food. Every other species eats their food in a raw, live state. If I'm a tiger and I eat a zebra, I knock the zebra down, it opens up the zebra, it eats the entrails, where the most enzymatic potential is and the most bacteria is, it eats that, and then it eats the regular carcass. If I'm a bear, I eat a salmon or I eat a blueberry, I eat it in a raw state. If I'm a horse, if I'm a cow, I'm going to eat my grass in a live state, where it has a lot of enzymes present and has the natural bacteria that works in particular with that particular species. Now, because we cook our food, because we irradiate our food, because we sterilize our food, we don't get the enzymes, we don't get the bacteria, and they don't talk about this in the world of nutrition. So what happens are people are eating their diets, they're eating their food, they have a compromised bacteria culture, they're not getting any enzymes, their body has to produce a lot of enzymes in order to digest the food that it eats, and guess what? That sucks energy out of your body, that makes you feel tired, and eventually leads to disease and degeneration. Okay, now I did a completely raw food diet for 2 years to kind of go the other way to see what it does. It felt great, but I was the weirdest guy in every social circle. I had no friends. And So I had to quit that diet, and I had to supplement my diet with enzymes and probiotics because I wanted a social life. It was a lot of fun. It worked really well, and I think anybody could benefit from doing 3 to 6 months on a raw food diet. It's very cleansing, very detoxing, but it has limits. Every single diet that you have out there has limits and advantages. And so I would be very wary of identifying yourself as any single dietary practice. So a lot of people say, I'm paleo, I'm keto, I'm vegetarian, I'm a lacto-vegetarian, I'm a whatever dieter, I'm a faster, I just live on light, The bottom line is, every time that you identify with a particular diet, you also cut yourself from the potentials of other ones. Everyone has particular advantages and particular disadvantages, so try to stay open and try to stay flexible because you don't know when you might have to shift. Okay? Next. The bottom line is a lot of companies load up their products with a lot of bacteria because it looks impressive. People go, wow, that's a lot. Must be better. 10 billion must be better than 5 billion, right? Makes sense. But at the end of the day, it comes down to most of them are going to be dead by the time they hit the shelves. It's why I believe if you're using probiotics that required refrigeration, it's very difficult to maintain those conditions because a 1 degree change in temperature is going to double the rate that the bacteria eats through their prebiotics. So oftentimes they'll show up dead inside the body. Okay? So I do believe freeze-dried has more relative purposes. Unless you're making your own probiotics at home, we actually show you how to do that in some of our education videos so that you can start fermenting your own foods like cultures have been doing for thousands of years. Okay? Most probiotics suggest that you can colonize inside your gut. How many people here have done a Viome test? If you haven't done a Viome test, I think it's a great thing. It's a state-of-the-art test where you can actually test your own bacteria. Naveen Jain, who I met a couple years ago at the Bulletproof Conference, was talking about how many of the probiotics don't actually colonize that are being sold on the market today. He tested Ben Greenfield. Does anybody listen to Ben Greenfield? Yeah, great guy. He is totally a freak. This guy's on the bleeding edge of the biohacking world. He takes all these different types of strains. He only had one strain that was actually working. Hard to believe, right? And he's got access to some of the best products in the entire world. Only one strain was working. But don't take my word for it. Everything that I say here today, you should have a grain of salt with. You should do your own investigation. Don't take my word as fact. I'm not a be-all and know-all. What you need to do is proactively start testing yourself. Get connected to a good naturopathic doctor and start running tests yourself so that you can build up a body of work, because that is going to allow you as you age to look at irregularities in your own system, because the variance within this room is going to be quite extreme. But what's important to you is you and your health. And I think getting involved with a team of professionals, I call it a Jedi Council. I have a ND, I have a chiropractor, I have a Chinese acupuncture, I have a nutrigenomics coach, I have a genetics and epigenetics coach, and these people provide insight to me like a counsel so I can figure out what's going on particularly with my own body. And for those of you who are spending all your money on supplements, what I would say is stop doing that, move your money into some testing first. Then when you buy whatever supplements you need in order to augment your diet, you're going to get the right products that you can demonstrate that work for you. And that is coming from somebody that owns a supplement company. Okay, and that's why we focus so much on education, because it's about getting this message out. Okay, there's lots of home tests, and I think you're going to see more and more super strains of probiotics being developed over the next 10 years. Don't depend on the probiotics or refrigerated. We talked about that. We talked about this, the transport issue. How are we doing for time? Okay, I got to keep rolling. So freeze-dried probiotics, basically what they do is they freeze them, suspend them in a state of animation, and that, when they come back into your body, the temperature and water reactivates them and allows them to work. Given all the noise of your information, you're likely to fail on your own. Get the help. Surrender your ego. Don't make assumptions about your own physiology. This is the key to undoing whatever you're trying to overcome. Believe me, it makes a big difference. Your medical doctor, unfortunately, for the most part, is not trained inside this field. They will recommend the tools that are from their trade. And most of these people are very smart, very bright, very well informed on the areas that they've been informed in. And that's why I prefer naturopathic doctors for long-term care and medical doctors for short-term care. Okay? So, first things, a couple pro tips. Eat a diverse range of foods and consume more natural fiber. Eliminate artificial sweeteners. Practice intermittent fasting. And use proven transient single strains of probiotics to see which one's right for you. Why a single strain? I think that you'll get the best results because you'll know if that strain actually works for you. I use a product called L Plantarum OM, particularly because it's a patent thing. I only got 15 minutes left. Jeez, oh God. Okay, we're gonna blow through this. You guys ready to go to fast forward? Ready for fast forward? Woo! 3 people, you ready for fast forward?
Yeah.
All right. By the way, if we don't get through this, I got a video of this so we can get you the notes afterwards so we can get rocking and rolling. All right. So, I believe that the way to go in the future is patented strains because right now we have the rise of super bad bacteria. They've been subjected to a high amount of antibiotics in the world, and those antibiotics are impairing our ability to treat them. And so we need to combat by putting bacteria strains through advanced systems to train them to become super good bacteria. And I think that's where the future is going. You're going to see these evolution of new enhanced strains, and it's starting to happen right now. Let's talk about enzymes. Enzymes are the difference between the living and the dead, between stones, plants, and people. There's over 25,000 different enzymatic reactions inside your body. Everything from thinking to blinking requires an enzyme. And if you function just on food, think about having turkey dinner, at Thanksgiving or Christmas. You have the first helping and the second helping, and then grandma brings out the apple pie, and then what happens? You think you should go out and run a marathon, right? You just ate a marathon's worth of calories. But no, what do? It's a sprint to the couch, to the floor, to the chair, and you pass out and you start drooling, right? Why is that? Well, what's happened is all the enzymes that are running the rest of your body have been shunted into your digestive system trying to break down the food that you're eating. The average person has about 30% of the enzymes they had at birth. So check out a book called Enzyme Nutrition and Food Enzymes for Health and Longevity by Dr. Edward Howe. He talks about by 3rd generation of enzymatic deficiency, which we are in since World War II, okay, you are going to find that strange sociological behavior, weird rise or a radical rise in genetic diseases, and the inability to procreate. He tested this out in the 40s on hundreds of species, and now we are here as humans. Think of the rise of fertility clinics, think of the rise of genetic diseases, and think of all the strange sociological things that are happening in the population. I do believe that's because of 3rd generation enzyme. Here you can see these lights. This is the difference between enzymes and live states. Enzymes are the workers. Humans are the only family that cooks its food. We've talked about that sort. They deplete with age. I talked about that. With enzymes, there's no limit. So let's get in here. Not all enzymes are the same. There are food-based enzymes, animal-based enzymes, systemic enzymes, cultured enzymes, and scientifically engineered cultured enzyme formulations. The last part here, scientifically engineered cultured formulations, is the type of enzymes that I work with. They're anywhere from 100 to 1,000 times more powerful than a food enzyme. So they can be used therapeutically to recover from a variety of conditions, everything from scar tissue to damaged organs to detoxification. I do a lot of work with people who are coming out of drug rehabilitation and stuff, and they're very helpful in helping the liver detox. So when you're because the detox symptoms are what cause a lot of the problems for people overcoming those conditions, or people coming out of cancer treatment because they have so much therapy. Enzymes are really effective in helping detox the body. One reason why saunas are so powerful is because of the heat shock proteins that are activated. When I met Dr. O'Brien, this is a picture of Dr. O'Brien. When I met him back in the day, this guy had me do 25 enzymes, or 35 enzymes a day. 10 of those enzymes, 5 and 5 were on empty meals and 5 with every meal, and this was part of my own recovery process that allowed me to regain my health and vitality, and I haven't let off since. And what's interesting about enzymes is there's no level that'll break the GI barrier. I've taken up to 1,000 a day. With any other nutritional supplement, when you hit tolerance level, your body will flush it out, you'll get the runs. And the bottom line with enzymes, you don't do that. They will always be absorbed, always be utilized by their body. It's one of the few nutritional supplements are that way, and that's because everybody's so deficient. I'm going to talk about another piece, hydrochloric acid. I think hydrochloric acid has the potential to be one of the great health beneficial factors. The average person in this room probably has less than 30%, maybe only 20% of the hydrochloric acid. It is 80% of our immune system. It disaffects us from bacteria, from parasites. This hydrochloric acid helps cleave amino acids. It is what happens when your body goes through digestion. Food goes after you chew it into the esophagus. You got 30 to 60 minutes that the enzymes present in the food are supposed to be broken down. After that, hydrochloric acid comes into the system. Hydrochloric acid then breaks down the food further and also changes the pH so the different enzymes will become reacted or deactivated. Once the acid has churned that food up, bicarbonate buffers, which is a fancy name for minerals, will then buffer that acid as it goes into the intestinal tract where the bacteria, the flora, are then going to work on that and finish that digestion and convert that either to energy units and then into building blocks. And whatever's left over through peristaltic contraction will move through. So hydrochloric acid, I'm going to give you a quick test of how you can find out if you have enough hydrochloric acid. The bottom line is undigested proteins are the #1 source of inflammation and disease inside the body. Brain fog, if you're waking up in the morning and you're foggy, if you find that you have bad breath in the morning, if you find that you have periods of your brain starts to dilate, oftentimes it's proteins that are coagulating your blood, making your blood thick like oil. And so by adding hydrochloric acid and proteolytic enzymes, you can really alter that. So one of the critical factors is, I'm going to just kind of blow through this or whatever. You'll get these afterwards. Here's some of the symptoms of low HCl. Upset stomach, nausea, acid reflux, heartburn, malnutrition, and skin issues. If you get that grayish tinge to your skin, generally that's low hydrochloric acid. What it leads to, osteoporosis, leaky gut syndrome, diabetes, cancer, asthma, rheumatoid arthritis, and SIBO. All of those conditions just from low stomach acid. Most thing heartburn thinks is too much acid or acid reflux. It's actually you have too little of it. And here's how you're going to test for it. Here's what you're going to do. This is a guy, by the way, that wrote a book called, I'll just get to it, Heartburn Cured. Great book. His name is Dr. Robillard. He said that 90% of the people that visit him had low HCl. So I'm just going to scroll there. There's what it looks like. And here's a little test that you can do to check your HCl levels. Write this down. Take a 1/4 teaspoon of baking soda and mix it in about 250 milliliters, 4 ounces of water. Okay? You mix it in there and you drink it first thing in the morning before you do anything else. If you don't burp within 5 minutes, you have low HCl levels. It's really that simple. So you got that 1/4 teaspoon with baking soda in water in the morning, 4 ounces of water, 250 milliliters. Drink that down. And if you don't burp within 5 minutes, you've got low HCl. All right. So what's interesting, 30 grams of carbohydrates produces 10,000 milligrams of gas. And that pops the esophageal sphincter open. The acid then, whatever acid you have, leaks up, and that's what causes heartburn, that's what causes acid reflux. Doing a proton pump suppresses HCl even further and sets you up for bacteria infections, sets you up for viruses, parasites, other pathogens, throws off your protein digestion, and actually gets you into a variety of conditions that you can avoid, and a tablet of HCl will correct it. The other thing that you can do is you can actually, let me get through that. That was the bicarbonate test. I'm just going to scroll through. We only got 5 minutes left. Apple cider vinegar. I use apple cider vinegar every single day. I put it on my salad every afternoon. It's a fantastic product. You get into this, you first take it, it's just like, whoa, you know, you can put in a little bit of water. I sometimes like to just take it on a tablespoon and just take it, it's a real buzz, okay? Wakes you up, but it's a fantastic product you can use. Or you can use betaine HCl, which is produced by beets, and a hydrochloric acid. So anybody that you're suffering from acid reflux and heartburn, get them on this, because esophageal cancer is one of the fastest rising cancers in the world today, and it's directly related to low HCl. You can correct many of these diseases not through correcting the disease, by preventing the things. And our digestive system is the source of most of the diseases because we're not ability to absorb, assimilate, and utilize the food that we're eating. And so many of you are spending your time, your effort, your energy, and you're doing so much work in producing the right kind of diet, but you haven't put the work on making sure you have the materials, the enzymes, the HCl, and the probiotics, so you have enough workers to break down the food and the diets that you're eating and convert it into the energy units and building blocks that are going to allow you to be healthy and happy for the next 100 years. Okay? So these are some of the things that HCl do. How much time we got left? 5 minutes? Okay. So when you combine all these things, what you can do is there's a simple and easy format that you can do that takes literally 15 minutes a day. How many people would like to know that system? Okay, 3 people, 10 people. How many people would like to know how to correct all these things in 15 minutes a day? Okay, here's what you do. First thing in the morning, you get up. You take 1 liter of water, okay? You drink the 1 liter of water first thing upon rising. You put a little lemon in it. You can add a little apple cider vinegar into it if you like. Put that in. I like to drop mineral drops inside of it, a vitamin and mineral drop, a liquid vitamin and mineral. I drop that in and I drink that down. I then get up and I walk to a rebounder. And if you want to know what a rebounder is, you can come to my office over there. I get on the rebounder and I start bouncing for 10 minutes. There's no impact on the joints. Anybody at any condition, at any age can use this, okay? What that does is that flushes the lymphatic system and gets my blood circulating and clears my brain, clears the cobwebs. The nutrients and vitamins and minerals and hydrochloric acid prepares my body for the food. Immediately on, and while I'm doing that, I'm listening to something positive. I'm listening to something that empowers me, that recognizes that you need to take that 10 minutes in order to get your body in the right state and your mind in the right state, because where the mind goes, the body follows. Immediately after that, go to your counter, mix up a plant-based smoothie. Inside that smoothie, you want to put your favorite fruits, your favorite vegetables, essential fatty acids that work right for your body. You want to put a good plant-based protein with lots of fiber inside that. Blend it all up, mix that up and drink it down. If you do that a day, have a salad in the afternoon for your mid-lunch, and have whatever dietary meal that is best for you in the evening, and you will correct about 85% of the diseases that are out there today. You will prevent them from happening by just doing those simple routines, and it only takes 15 minutes a day. Anybody can do it. If you want to know how to do the whole program that we also have a 90-day gut reset, things like that, and you can get the free 12-week education course. There's a little flyer that you can see here in your booth. All you need to do, come down to the booth, get your name and email. We'll send you the program for free. We'll give you the notes on this. You get the entire education program, and I'd love to answer your specific questions. Thank you. You've been a very great crowd.
All right, that was awesome. Thank you, Wade.